Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Sunday, January 21st. It's about 9:30 in the morning, and it is about 29 or 30 degrees outside. We've had, I want to say, 4 hard frosts over the last week, and it has taken its usual toll on the garden. But I thought I would start off inside the house, of course, where it's warm and toasty. I did bring in from the garage my Japanese ground orchid as it is blooming. Interestingly enough, this is the same orchid that many years ago I took a picture of Mimi in front of, and I have that on my channel, and for some reason it has gradually bleached to that, I want to call it a pink color, but it's basically white flushed with a little violet. It used to be a dark violet, so go figure. Everything here looks pretty much the same as it did last week, except for my amaryllis. This is the amaryllis that was encased in wax, and it will probably bloom by next week. Of course, my aspidistra is still doing well here. Cyclamen that I brought in from the front steps really like the heat. They put out a new flush of blooms. This is a ground orchid here that blooms yellow. I never put that one outside. Oh, my clock just stopped. Let me go ahead and tweak the pendulum. That's an old clock I got at an antique shop. You have to wind it every couple days, and it runs fast for the first day and slow for the second. This plant begonia looks pretty nice back in that corner. I'll have to move it around a little. I don't like it to get one-sided like that. This amaryllis has bloomed out. It had 2 blooms. Had it for Christmas. I'm going to be putting it outside. I'll probably put it out today. I didn't quite have the heart to put it out yesterday because I knew there'd be a hard freeze today. It will eventually die back to the ground anyway, with the frost. Here you can see the bloom stalk is coming on my species amaryllis. Well, let's take a walk outside and see what we can see. Oh, I see my coleus has a blossom. That was one of the cuttings I took. And of course the wandering dude is still doing well. It's the last of the wandering dude you'll see for a while, as you'll see shortly. Take a quick walk outside because it's still very nippy. Here you can see what wandering dude does in the wintertime. It just falls back and just kind of turns to a mush. And you can see the amaryllis pretty much does the same thing. Now you can see the sticks that I put out. These are where the new amaryllis that are in the house are going to go. I learned that a couple of years ago because with the hard frost it kills back all the green foliage and it will disappear. So you don't really know where to plant the amaryllis unless you have some kind of a marking system. And here's 2 stakes that I have. One here and one there. It's too early to tell exactly what frost damage did. Of course, the usual things. It nipped back the foliage of the lily of the Nile. This cycad looks okay. Of course, everything back in here should be fine. The flowers of the camellias and of the azaleas got hit. My Mexican petunias died back. Yeah, all of the flowers on the azaleas are gone. And I never did take in my iris blossom, and it's just frozen right there. I did plant out the 3 pink hyacinths that I had in the house. There's one of them. But as you can see, everything is still green. I don't know about the flax lilies. You can see they're already turning brown. They'll probably be killed back to the ground. The camellias will be fine, but I've got a feeling the buds may be hurt. Although on this particular one, the high fragrance, right now, knock on wood, the buds look okay. This was an experiment. Apparently something's eating it. But I found an old pine cone. Actually, I stopped on the side of the street. My friends thought I was crazy, but I saw it in the middle of the road and picked it up. I had some out-of-date peanut butter, so I put all the out-of-date peanut butter inside that thing and then rolled it in some bird seed. Yeah, again, the camellias here look okay. The buds so far look good, so keep my fingers crossed. Of course, there's nothing you can do about it. If they frost took them, it took them, but it'd be nice to see what happens. That cycad looks fine. Now this cycad, you can see, has already started to be, it started to brown off a little. This new growth is probably just a little too tender. I did cut out the yellow blooming plant that was here that I can't think of the name of right off the top of my head. Cassia. Yeah, Cassia. Now you can see the little Mediterranean fan palm. That will eventually get big. That's a Mediterranean fan palm over there. But let's go around to the back. Of course, you see the fern in the corner has died back, but it'll come back from the roots. It always does. Didn't touch the kale. Didn't touch the butterfly bushes. And it didn't touch the flowers out front. What were they? The snapdragons and pansies. I'll have to watch this cactus, because what the cactus does to survive in cold weather is it falls flat. I took a couple of cuttings of that up to New York when I had my garden up there, and it grew beautifully, but it was flat. It never got above 6 inches off the ground. So it was basically a ground cover. So it will survive the cold, but to protect itself, it falls down to the ground. I don't know about the Australian tree fern. I did cover the heart of it. Time will tell. We've had cold snaps before, so this is nothing new. It's just there are a bunch of them in a row. You can see it got my ferns, but they should come back. Didn't touch my Owari Satsumas. They're good to 15. Didn't touch the ivies. Although this ivy's looking a little the worse for wear. We'll see what happens. Of course, I cut down my angel's trumpets. I knew they were going to go. Again, wandering dude, flattened out. Pansies are still good. And as expected, the Lenten rose is still looking good, still has its flowers. Now you can see the bulbs that were coming up. Now this will be a chance for me to go through and weed while the wandering dude is knocked back. And it'll also be the chance to redo this side of the garage, because I have to take out like the ginger lilies and things that are all butted up against it. So that will happen in the next month or so, possibly before then. Finally got all of the annuals that were in this bed, but it hasn't stopped. The hyacinths the little ones from coming up. Usually the third week of January, Walmart gets in its bulbs. They're pre-potted in little pots, hyacinths, and I usually like to get a couple of flats of those. I don't really have enough room to refrigerate hyacinths, so I buy them as already sprouting bulbs. Pretty much as expected. Not too much is different. The Aspidistra looks okay. Aspidistra is funny because it'll look green and it'll start turning yellow with time, so we'll just have to wait and see. Of course, my kumquat is still here. Of course, the kumquats are going to fall off the tree now, but that's okay. I didn't want any more of them anyway. Doesn't look like I lost any of my pots, which is a nice thing. And it looks like the new foliage on the holly is still okay. Well, maybe the tips of it got browned a little of the young stuff, but it'll come back. This will definitely start the forsythias to blooming. Help them set buds. They need a certain minimum time of cold in order for them to bloom. Yeah, here you can see these cycads got hit. They're a little too exposed. I'm just going to leave them as is. They'll gradually turn more and more yellow. And in the spring, when they start pushing out new growth, is when I'll cut the yellow off. By the way, if you have cycads with a cone in the middle, the females, leave the leaves on. Well, my advice would be to leave the leaves on. They won't push out new leaves until they're done producing their seeds. So if you have a female cycad with a cone, if you cut the leaves off, it's not going to get any back for a long, long time. So you're best to leave the leaves as is. Tell your friends it's a variegated cycad. Who would know? Ginger lilies, I'll be cutting back. It's one of those tricky things when to cut things back, because as they are, they're helping to protect the roots of the ginger lily as well as things around them. So if there's still going to be extended cold periods, they're doing some good to the garden. So you don't necessarily want to do a clean cut and take them all away just yet. Here you can see these cycads show it the most in terms of the cold damage. I'm not going to uncover my ladyfinger palm, but I'm not expecting much. Yeah, it got hurt. You probably can't tell it, but these leaves are darkened. However, the heart growth in the very center is still there. I'm going to leave this on until it's no longer freezing. Remember, it's still below freezing while I'm taping this. And these cycads, of course, got hit. But it'll come back. So overall, not too bad. Of course, one of the reasons for that is, remember, this is a 30-year-old garden, so the things that I have growing in here are things that have proven themselves in past year. Actually, it's 31 years old this year. So I really didn't expect a lot of damage except for the typical, really tropical things. And most of them should come back. Aspidistra looks fine. I was going to show you the Aspidistra on the porch is questionable. Or I should say the deck. Well, it may be okay after all. Yesterday when I came out here, the leaves were all splotchy. Frozen solid and splotchy. I don't know if that shows up on the camera or not, but there's dark patches and light patches. But they were frozen solid, so we'll see what happens. It's not going to kill the plant, but it might disfigure the leaves. My roses have definitely been hit. Not all of them. You can see one protected by the camellia is doing a little better than all the rest. I'm going to use this as an excuse to cut them back, but I'm going to wait until it warms up a bit to do that. So yeah, there you have it on this cold, cold morning. So I hope wherever you all are, you're nice and warm. And until next week, I will wish you all the best. Take care for now.